Welcome back to the Pitch Pod, everyone. I'm your host, Jeff, and joining alongside me, my co-host, Joe Janner. Joe, how are you doing this evening?
Jeff, I'm doing well. As always, excited to be on this pitch pod. I know what we're looking forward to. I know what you're looking forward to. I hope our listeners and our viewers are definitely looking forward to the return of more exciting Champions League competition. Jeff, I know it's got to be your favorite competition, no?
Heck yeah. I mean, it's all about the Champions League. It's my favorite for sure. And this upcoming match that Joe and I have chose to focus on and to look at is Inter versus Atletico Madrid. Both teams we've covered in the past, both teams we know pretty well, and we can't wait to talk about this match. But first, Joe, I think we need to talk about the upcoming final with the Africa Cup of Nations. We just found out who's going to be in the final today. It's Nigeria and Ivory Coast. Quick thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, just final not too long ago in determining those two teams to face off in the final. I think it's good historically, quality sides, and they've been playing well throughout this tournament. So I think between the two, it's could go either way, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams are great. Both teams are up for competing. I'll just go ahead. I'll throw my prediction out there first. I'll let you follow. I got Ivory Coast winning this 1-0, Joe.
Was going to go the same route, Jeff. Was going to go the same route, at least in terms of the winner.
Okay.
But I think it's a little more goals in this one, though. More goals. An exciting final. 3 goals, Ivory Coast to 2 goals for Nigeria.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'd rather watch the game you're predicting. If that goes if that goes as predicted, that's going to be one heck of a game. Either way, I'm going to be tuning in, and you can't miss the Africa Cup of Nations. That's going to be a fun one for sure.
Right. Maybe not along the script of what a final oftentimes with two sides being, but maybe they just go for it and open up and provide an entertaining match. Wouldn't we all love that?
They could. They very well could. They have the firepower. So congrats to them to making it to the final, and can't wait to see how that plays out. But the reason we're here, the reason we're having this episode, Joe, you know the Champions League is my favorite. We've already mentioned that. We got Inter, this powerhouse that made it to the finals last season, going against Atletico Madrid. Maybe they're the underdogs for this match. But they're pretty darn scrappy themselves. They have a lot of talent, and they are one quality club. So it's going to be interesting how this first leg takes place. And what are some initial thoughts going into this game, Joe?
The first thing that stands out, I think it's worth reminding everybody that in each of the respective groups through that stage of the competition, both are unbeaten. Now, you might even say that really Inter had a little bit more challenging group. I mean, it's always debatable, really. I mean, when you get to looking at that many different sides and the strength of the schedule and whatnot, as far as determining who had a more challenging time. But that's something worth mentioning. And again, they're both doing relatively well in their respective domestic leagues. And they, as you've mentioned, the players that both squads are been utilizing and been performing have been great over the course of this campaign. And then now they get to shift into this competition. First leg of 2 should be a great game.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, it's at Inter, so they have the home field advantage going into this one. But either way, it's going to be a great competition. And maybe some people are starting to bill it as the Martinez versus Griezmann match, the two heavy hitters from both sides. But are there any other players that we need to, pay specific attention to, Joe, and some other players that might be the game-altering players, the ones that could make the difference in this?
Yeah, you could look at either side. You mentioned the two I think that most look at to see in terms of being able to score goals, but I think it's really a squad game. I think it's really the fact that both are set to have enough supporting role players, others that are going to be contributors in one way or the other. So I think it's really about how these two teams are going to play as a squad, how they're going to compete within themselves, as opposed to any individual player that might stand out in this case. But I think you mentioning Martinez and I think you mentioning Griezmann are good calls as far as those that we should be looking for that probably more than likely will score in this game, though.
Yeah, I gotta think so. Especially, if they get the PK opportunity, I gotta imagine it's one of them taking it for either side. And we've discussed Martinez at length in past. Quality player, Argentinian star, and he's dangerous from that left side of the pitch. And he can cut in, he can go to the outside, super quick. He can score at ease, and so yeah, it's hard to stop him. I guess if you're Atletico Madrid, is the game plan possession? Is the game plan forcing him to the outside, or how do you take on a player like that that's so dominant?
Well, you kind of alluded to the fact that I think that both of these sides with the identity they play with, I think the Atletico side is going to be disciplined and determined to be efficient and effective with the ball when they have it. Again, having possession is going to keep the other side obviously from being able to do much more with Martinez as a threat there. I think that's part of it, but it's also, again, how can they make it difficult for him to even have the opportunity to be on the ball? How is it how the midfield operates in a way to keep the ball from getting out to those positions where he would be there? So I think that's probably definitely part of the game plan as far as being able to anticipate that Inter will look to play in that fashion. So obviously to counter that, Atletico's got to also put themselves in a position to keep Martinez from having those opportunities. So I think it's part of it. I think, again, two good sides, very well coached, very well organized, doing well in their domestic competitions, up for it. And they have to be at this round within the competition of the Champions League. That's why, again, I know you love the Champions League. I love the Champions League. That's why a lot of people very much enjoy what this is going to do. It's two contrasting sides playing at their highest level. Should be an exciting match.
Yeah, absolutely. And Inter's coming off of a big win against Juventus, so they have some momentum going. And I'm looking at the stats right now, Joe. For this first leg, Inter is favored 49% to win. Atletico Madrid is at 24%, and there's a 27% likelihood of a draw. Those are the current stats. Do you think those are pretty accurate?
I think that it's probably underselling Atletico and their ability to, even you mentioned it, they are playing away. I think that takes away from what they are capable of doing. I've seen them in their respective league competition. I mentioned a couple times, maybe should go ahead and get into further detail. They drew 1-1 against Real Madrid. A good team, a good side, tough competition in itself. Here they are. So I think maybe it overfavors, in a sense, Inter and undersells the idea of Atletico being a competitive side. How they go about it, what they do. I mean, that's why we're interested in looking. I mean, they still got to play the game, whether we look at the numbers or how they're going to compete. Things happen. I do think both sides will be well prepared and able and capable of taking on this challenge. Of the last match, our predictions with the 1-0 win for Inter. That's a win for Jeff and another 3 points added to our prediction table. So well done, Jeff. Pick the winner. There you are again.
Oh, well, thank you, Joe. I appreciate the shout out there. I believe that puts me in a score of 9. And Joe, you're looking at a score of 6. So you're not too far off. You're still in the running. But yes, Jeff goes up on this one 9-6. So thanks for the shout out there, Joe. And Joe, if you're ready, you want to go ahead and make a prediction?
Yes. I, again, think that tough competition. Both teams are definitely certain to come out and play, knowing how important to get a good result in this first leg, knowing that Inter and Atletico are both capable of scoring several goals. They have goal scorers and are able to be very effective in the way that they go about their game plan. I can see for sure more likely a draw 2-2.
2-2. Wow. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If it's a 2-2 draw, it's going to make for a heck of a game, and I can't wait to see that second leg, right?
It's going to be great.
Yeah. I'm going to, I see where you're coming from here, but I got to go with the favorites. Home field advantage, relatively good form. So I actually have Inter winning this one, Joe, 2-1.
And so, again, yeah, it's going to require putting some goals away, getting on the board. I think that's very much a realistic prediction. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how this one goes. I'm really looking forward to either way.
Yeah, it should be fun. Should be fun. And so hopefully everyone out there gets a chance to tune in and watch the game. And we can't wait for it ourselves. Till next time. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what we bring you here at the Pitch Pod, please do us a favor, hit that like and that subscribe. Don't forget, we're available on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. Thank you, everyone, and keep pitching out there.
In a game, the round ball, round posts, anything can happen.